Hello fellow coders! Today I'm gonna show you two things that caused me troubles in my latest project. One is related to the callback functions and especially passing arguments with callback functions, and the second is I created input fields in HTML which got values later in JavaScript. After that, I had to create some input fields dynamically in code using P5JS. But I wasn't able to display values to those generated input fields by the regular method. So I'm going to show you how to solve both problems within this little demo project. Firstly, I need to make a paragraph just to show you what is the problem with the passing arguments in callback functions. So this is going to be my first thing. Create p id equals, give it some id, maybe it's a text, and style equals color, maybe white, and at first it's going to be just an empty paragraph, and I'm creating an input field here with an ID of pre-created, maybe type number, and I'm going to create a button which will fire our callback function later. So id equals callback, and name is fire callback. Okay, we have a button, we have an input field with numbers. Firstly, if I want to interact with these pre-created HTML elements, then I have to take this sketch.js script from the header, just simply hit Ctrl X and put it right below the /main and before the /body. Okay. I need to do this because if I call the sketch.js before I create these elements in HTML, then I get a reference error, so my code won't be working. I save this HTML and jump right into the sketch.js. I need to create some handlers, some selectors for these HTML elements. So I say let, firstly I grab the paragraph, which is going to be underline text equals document.query, small query selector, and text. So I just give the ID here, let create pre-created, equals document.query selector, pre-created, and let callback equals document.query selector, what was its name? Callback. Okay. I also need to add an event listener to this button here. So I just simply type in that callback dot add event listener, and I want to fire my callback function if I click on these buttons. So click, and maybe I just give it a name, set data. So I have to write a function set data. So function set data, passing no any value to it right now, and set data will give the text field text dot inner HTML equals some value. It could be a text or anything. Maybe let's do it with a number first, and I say that also give some value to the pre-created input field, pre-created dot value equals also 42. Why not? So I save the sketch, and I also say that I don't need this huge blank area here. It is because I got a canvas there, so I say no canvas, hit save, canvas has disappeared. I don't need the draw function, it will be working without it anyway. So if I now fire my callback function, then I got this. I must be mistyped something. Oh yes, I see. Pre-created, need the C to be capital letter. Just save it and rerun it. So I got both the paragraph and both the input field with the same number. But what happens if I want to pass some variables to this callback function? I say I give it an argument or parameter here, which is a. So the text field will be a, and the value of the input field will be a, and I just simply restart this, reload, and passing some value here, which might be 80 or something, and I just simply save this, and I see it's not working as a callback function. I just refresh the page and immediately I got the value of 80 both in the paragraph and the input field, which I don't want. I want to do this when I click on the fire callback button. It is a simple fix. You cannot pass an argument to a callback function like this. Callback functions are without any parameters. You can do that if you create an arrow function here. So an arrow function is basically looks like this. I create a function without any parameters, which contains a function. I could write curly braces here, but if I only have one instruction in the arrow function, I can leave this out. And if I refresh this page, I see that the passing argument is doing anything here, but if I hit the fire callback button, then I give the argument to this callback function. Basically, this setData isn't a callback function. The callback function is the arrow function here, which calls the setData function, which can take arguments or parameters, which can be used later inside this function. Okay, now we know how to give any parameter to a callback function. But the second thing, if I want to create an input field with P5JS, it's because I need a bunch of input fields, so I don't want to make it all by hand, but generate in a code or create it with clicking a button and make a bunch of it. I can do this to let gen input, like generated input, equals create input. Firstly, it gets no value. It also going to be a number. So, I can give it a type. And I say I want to place this new input field right behind the paragraph or inside the paragraph would be the better. So gen input dot parent, which is I believe also a P5 function, is going to be the text field, this text field, so the ID of the text field and not the name of the query selected text variable. And if I try to do this, gen input dot value equals a, then let's see what's going to happen here. I save it and just simply fire this callback function. I see that the paragraph and the pre-created input field gets the value 80, which is passed by the callback function, but not the generated input field. What's happening here? Let's console log out the value of this generated input field. Console log and gen input dot value. I just save it, hit Ctrl Shift I, and fire a callback function again. I see that the gen input dot value is 80, so it gets the 80, but it doesn't display it. It's because P5 has a built-in function to add value to input fields, and you can see the difference if I write it like this. Gen input dot value, and in braces I give the variable name or any number or any text if it's a text field, anything, then I can pass this value to this input fields which generated within P5JS. So I refresh it and just save it, and if I fire callback and I see the paragraph, the generated input field and the pre-created input field gets this value which is sent as an argument with this callback function. And a little thing that is missing from here, in the console log section you can see this line here. I can get the value here. I can fix that by adding braces here. So getting the value of the generated input field is also a function. So if I simply save it and rerun it, then I get back the 80 here. So this is it. Thanks for watching.